Welcome to Business Nights with Antonia. As you can see, I'm in a different location right now. I'm actually at the Hub's workplace because, as you know, you have to be flexible. So I'm super excited to see you guys here and also to talk about our special guest. So happy Monday. I hope you all had an awesome Monday. My Monday was quickly derailed, adulting and stuff like that, but everyone is okay. Everybody is safe. And I am just going to be working a little late tonight. So that's okay with me. All right. So let's go ahead and roll into tonight's topic, business relevant. So I was actually reading earlier this morning while I was waiting to get my windshield replaced, which took hours. And then also again this evening in regards to what some of the heavy hitters in the financial space and in the government contracting space are talking about COVID-19. So I was able to locate an article by Boeing, and they actually were talking about that basically it would be an issue if the United States started requiring COVID-19 tests to be administered for people to walk onto the U.S. domestic flights with their COVID-19 proof tests in hand, how it would be affecting the economy. And that actually kind of got me thinking about the whole entire COVID-19 testing realm and then the travel space. So I totally understand that travel companies want to, pick up the pace and, hurry up and allow people to start traveling domestically and abroad. However, what is the point of having people come onto your aircraft if they haven't been tested or vaccinated, or at the very minimum tested with proof that they don't have COVID-19? I don't really understand how it could affect the economy as drastically as what they are saying, because the economy has already been affected, right? Due to COVID-19 and people not feeling comfortable or safe to travel. In other news, in regards to that piece of traveling while we're in the midst of a pandemic, even though the vaccinations are here, I am not immune to the videos that I constantly continue to see of people throwing temper tantrums on aircrafts, whether it's domestic travel or abroad, and they not wanting to wear their masks or wanting to allow people to get past them because it is seen as, not social distancing. I think it's ridiculous. I do want to give kudos out to Delta because they are the only company that I know of that actually does the social distancing on their aircraft. So I think that is pretty awesome. And they understand that, yes, we may lose some money right now in the short run, but in the long run, people are going to remember and value their company for doing what they're doing and, abiding by CDC laws. So I think that's pretty awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and move into our next topic, Hi Antonia. So this one's just real quick in regards to Hi Antonia. Someone wanted me to ask, or actually wanted me to answer the question in regards to how much content do you actually need when you're creating content? So one of the things that I would say is you should basically have enough content to get you through 1 to 2 weeks. You don't really want to have any more than that because things may change, right? And if you don't have time, if you're a super busy professional, you may not be able to sit down and create content for weeks and weeks on end. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't create newsletters or draft your newsletters for months in advance, because you absolutely can. Or if you own a magazine or something like that, yes, go ahead and take care of your content and draft as much as you possibly can in each one of your sittings, right? But on a day-to-day basis, typically, most people don't have social media content more than 2 weeks out. And if you have a month, that's awesome. That's a bang-up job. So don't, overwhelm yourself. Just go ahead and create 2 weeks or a week if that's all you can do at the moment, and you'll be good to go. All right. So I hope that answers your question and helped not only her, but other people who have heard that as well. Okay, so let's talk about Antonia's 2 cents. Okay, so this is a very controversial topic, so I apologize in advance. I'm just going to go on record and say that I did not like I did not like the Weeknd's halftime performance. I'm sorry. It was just not my favorite. It was more on the lines of actually rather demonic. Like I felt like I was taken on a psychedelic kind of like trip thing. It reminded me of the Batman where the guy like he took the drugs and he had like a scarecrow like face on. It was very scary movie-ish. Like it didn't seem entertaining to me. And my kids were sitting there and they were watching it, and it kind of looked like some of them looked like jock straps on their face, others of them looked kind of evil. Like it was just weird. And then someone said that he spent like an extra $7 million on the production costs to get what he wanted. And I really feel like he could have sent some people to college or made a business grant for some people, because it was just not my thing. I much rather would have seen Katy Perry come back again on her, 3D lion for Roar all over again, or somebody swinging through the air versus what happened with the light show and his thing. So I'm sorry. I'll ask our special guest if she watched it, if she liked it or not, but that's my 2 cents. That's how I feel. So maybe Jay-Z could do a better job next year, right? Okay. If you don't know, Jay-Z handles the music for all of NFL events now. So, all right, so let's go ahead and roll into our special guest. Okay, so her name is Stephanie Olarte, and I said it right. Go me. She is going to be talking about an awesome topic, which is definitely something that should be at the forefront of everyone's mind nowadays, right? So we're actually going to be talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. So like every other guest that I've done, I'm going to go ahead and love on her too. Not only are her curls popping, you guys, when you see her, right? She is like fresh face and dewy-eyed. She actually is working for a mission, and she's trying to be impactful to the people that go to work every day and make sure there's a safe space. And she's doing it from a different angle, right? So I'm super excited for you guys to get to meet her. Make sure you give her some love when she comes on out. Are you ready? I feel like you said yes. Okay, awesome. Let's go ahead and bring her out. Say hello to Miss Stephanie.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited you are here too. And I'm absolutely 100% thrilled about tonight's topic. Can you introduce who you are and what you do to the audience?
Sure. My name is Stephanie Olarte. I am a consultant. My work is on social campaigns and political campaigns. But I do it in an angle where I focus on diversity and equity and inclusion, because I think it's a really important vision that we need to have both in nonprofit work, political work, corporations. So it's a little bit of an angle that I decided to take because I have been, through the process of a bit of discrimination myself. So I know how people, have gone through a lot of issues, and how a lot of companies, political organizations aren't really comfortable with intentional diversity and inclusion. And so my work is to make sure that people understand the vital importance that it is to be intentional. It's not about just saying I want to be a diverse, equitable, inclusive job, workforce, corporation, political
Mhm.
organization, nonprofit. It's important to feel it and to really be intentional in the work that they do, and that's where I come in.
So, just for the people who are not familiar with the DEI space, can you just give a high level view of what it actually is? Like, I guess maybe my question is, if I can re-ask it, is when you are inside of a corporation, how do you know that they have DEI down pat? Like, what does that feel like?
It feels okay. So let me just answer what DEI is for
Okay.
me. It is when it refers to an organization, institution that can create a welcoming, equitable environment and enables people from different backgrounds, different identities, diverse perspectives into a space where it fosters that culture and it minimizes biases, right? It addresses systemic inequalities within the organization's core values. So to me, that is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Like it's a whole connector of really building on a particular culture that is respectful for everyone's different identities. That's what it is for me.
I love that. I actually just found out last week that is acceptable to ask someone, "What are your preferred pronouns?" And
Yeah.
I'm always asking people what their name is and if I pronounced it right because I'm always butchering it. But I never knew that I could also ask, "What are your preferred pronouns?" I didn't know that they differ other than what I physically see on the exterior of a person.
Yeah, and it's a learning process, right? Like a lot of times people don't really understand that. For me, for example, I'm she, her, ella. So as a Latina woman, I definitely put the ella there to emphasize it because I want people to know that that is also part of my identity. So
Mhm.
like, you can either you can it's the same word, it's just different language, but it's really important to make people comfortable in who they are and the identities that they belong to.
I love that. Okay, so when you were saying that you kind of approach DEI from a different angle, what is that angle? What are we doing at work every day, Miss Stephanie?
I've worked in organizations and nonprofits. Usually, they bring in a lot of people to work with diversity and inclusion. They do training programs, which I've actually sat down on, and I think they're really good.
Mhm.
However, it ends kind of like in these workshops. You don't really sit there and um, look at the books. Let's see how many people you have that are actually a diverse community within your organization.
Mhm.
And then let's see how much biases some corporations, nonprofits, organizations, in general, political organizations actually have, because I think that's a real issue. We don't necessarily take a deeper dive in seeing who is being hired, who isn't being hired, and why. Is
Right.
there biases going on already, and how do we remove it? So let's give you the workshop on what do you have, but then let's have these conversations on how can we actually systemically fix this problem, um, by creating a strategic plan,
Okay.
based on that different organizations' goals of what they want to do. But it's very intentional too, right? I don't want to go in there, do a workshop, and then see them say, "Cool, thanks, goodbye." Like we did the work, we got you in here. That's not it. I want to do that workshop, but then I want to sit with there and say, "Okay, how are we going to fix this problem that you already have?"
Do you come across companies or corporations that will reach out to you and try to secure your services? And can you tell off the bat whether or not they're genuine or not, or if it's just a political thing, like a public relations thing? How do you tell?
Yeah. So I'm also really picky on who I work with, right? Because I don't want to just work with someone that wants to do it to like check boxes,
Mhm.
but really doesn't care. And I think based on the conversation that you have with that particular organization or the political person, because I also work with political, um, people that want to run for office. Like,
Mhm.
okay, let's talk about it. Let's see, do you really care? Like having a genuine conversation about what diversity is for them, what they want to see in their organization is actually a big deal because if they are they come out as genuine to me.
Mhm.
Like they feel it, like you know that they really have tried, but somehow they have missed whatever area. Then
Mhm.
I can say, okay, yes, I see that you have this need and this want to do better by your company or better by your organization or yourself as an individual. So I can help you. But
Yeah.
if I see that it's more like, oh, yeah, because I just want to hire and make a quota, it comes out. Through conversations, it does come out. And I don't believe that um, they truly want to be intentional in the work. And so why waste my time?
Now, do you do at the beginning of your engagement, do you also do the assessment piece that you were speaking about? Like, do you go in and you do the surveys and the questionnaires and you review the data and all of that? Okay. All right.
Yes.
Awesome. So then that's part of your strategic plan, how you craft it. Okay.
Yeah, that's how I crack it. I just knit it in the bud because it's really important too that I don't just cross it over to someone else who hasn't already been part of that conversation, who hasn't already been part of like the initial workshops or the initial work. So I sit there and I say, okay, so what is it that you want? We look at what they want, look at how they want to fix it, and then we create a plan, and I follow through checking how they're doing with that plan by surveying, by talking to other employees, because that's also another one. If they pick employees in their organization, if they have many, then they allow me to have conversations with them so that I could do more more qualitative work, right? Because that's what really gets out the information. Sometimes we think that it's quantitative information, the numbers here and there, but numbers don't really give us the bigger picture. And so I look at those specific conversations and observe people's um, environment. And that's how we make it work.
How would you approach? Okay, so I'm going to set the stage. So you have an organization, and
Mm-hmm.
leadership finds you and they try to reach out to you and get you on board. You have your discovery call, you assess that they need you and that they're being genuine. How do you crack open the walls or crack through the walls of their employees to actually be honest with you and tell you what the actual problem is or what the issue is? Especially they're fearful, right? So how do you do
Yeah.
that?
So there's two workshops that I would do.
Okay.
One is specifically for the leaders, the leadership, right?
Mhm.
I want to understand what the leadership thinks and how they work.
Mhm.
And then the other workshop would be specifically for just the employees. So breaking that, like really separating both
Mhm.
and looking at how they're coming out, giving me the information. Because a lot of times, if you do the workshop, like most organizations do, or one in one, right? Like
Mhm.
everybody in one book
They're not
area,
gonna talk.
they're
Yeah.
not going to talk, right? So, and if they do talk, they might not be so genuine in how they really feel. And
Mhm.
if I want to crack open these problems, I need to separate them, and that's the rule that I do. I say, okay, let's do you, the leadership, and then let's do the employees. And if there is areas that we see need to be connected, then I work on those specific areas for whether it's individuals or even just the group as a whole. But
Okay.
it's really important to separate these two so that you can get realistic views of what is happening in both sides.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, I love that. Okay. So, how long does a normal engagement last with you with a company?
It depends. It really depends on the sizing of the
Okay.
situation. So there's been times where it's been really small, especially with sizes. It could be like a few weeks of discussions and like work in the back end, giving them, because I also want them to do the work themselves, right? I don't want to be the one that only does it. I prepare the information. I give them points of what they have to do. I then receive the information, look it over, see how that has been kind of laid out, and then from
Mhm.
there we come back and we discuss moving points from there forward and continue that process until we see that there is a better understanding in both areas of how we can combat the inability to be to bring DEI into the organization.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so here's another scenario. I love scenarios. Okay, so let's say that I was running for office, right? And for
And
whatever
you should.
oh, exactly. Okay. This way. So let's say that I was running for office and I did not resonate, or someone called me biased against African American people, meaning that in my camp, I don't have a lot of African American employees or interns or staff for whatever reason. How would I rectify the situation? Is that something that is more PR, or is that just you would come in as a an expert and say, Antonia, you're wrong? Like, or would you try to really dig deep and figure out what's wrong with how I view African American people?
So that is a really good question, and it really depends on who the person is, right? Again, intentionality is super important. So if this person really does want to see themselves be inclusive in who they're putting in the campaign,
Mm-hmm.
then they're going to want to have those conversations and say and allow me to be truthful to them. So I have no problem in telling a person why they're wrong. I I
That's a
get myself in trouble for that sometimes.
uh-huh.
But it's important to really open people's eyes and say, you are being biased. And I think a lot of situations that happen is that even if we're women of color or people of color that are running for office, we think, oh, we're good, we don't have any biases. Everyone has a bias,
Like,
no matter what.
mhm.
There's no such thing as no bias. It's a stereotype brought into a little larger, and it lingers in your mind, and then even though you think you don't have it, it's still there.
Mhm.
So it's a matter of understanding the biases that you have within the community that people are calling you out on, and seeing how you as a individual that really wants to run for office and that knows that if you run for office you have to be an elected to them, then
Mhm.
how are you going to bring them in the table? How do you want to make sure that you're outreaching not only the people you want to put in now into your campaign, but also the people that you're going to be an elected official for? So that's what I do. I would do both. I would be like, okay, so if you have this bias, let's work on both of them because you're about to be a politician for these people.
Right. You are now the mouthpiece for these people if they do elect you. So that always
That
makes me nervous. And that's one of the reasons why I look and see who's on people's campaigns, like in their
me
camp,
too. Yeah.
because I'm like, okay, well, I can the exterior doesn't bother me. It's the people, the masterminds behind the person that makes me weary or interested or curious
Yeah.
about a particular person. So
Yeah.
which is one of the reasons why I'm not like pro Dem or pro Republic or whatnot, but I really love what I'm seeing now coming from this administration, the amount of diversity
There's
that
definitely more. I'll tell you that much. I
uh-huh.
was, they, I'm very happy with the diversity that they're doing. They have brought in some great people for their committees, for secretaries, and I think it's great. But um, racial racial diversity isn't the only diversity,
Mhm.
right? And yes, they have LGBTQ people there as well, so that's wonderful. But have we seen anyone with a disability, open disability, be someone in this administration aside from, Biden,
The
who really
president.
puts himself
Yeah.
there saying, I do have a disability.
Mhm.
Okay, that's wonderful. I have a disability. I want to make sure that if I'm going to work for something, that I also am bringing people with disabilities into the conversation that I'm doing or into my organization, into my company, because I want to make sure that one person isn't the only thing that represents a whole community. There's more people there. So he's
Right.
doing wonderful in terms of diversity. I do think he needs to bring in some other communities in there. So just to
I don't
see.
think he's done yet. I think what he's done in the first couple, like, what has it been, like almost 30
It's
days,
like three
almost.
weeks, right? 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's done pretty doggone good in
Yeah.
regards to that piece. Keeping his promise in that, saying he
Yes.
wants his administration to look like
I mean, a
this.
complete difference from the previous one.
Yeah, but so with that, like again, I'm not pro Dem or pro Republican. However, I just feel like somebody failed him, the past administration, because he missed out on a lot of good input from all these different communities, which
He
I think
didn't have a good advisor.
no, right? So the people behind you.
An advisor that was hard. So yeah, so there,
I don't
that
know
really
how hard
failed.
Omarosa tried. I have no idea. I feel like she did. I don't
You know, maybe, who knows? Maybe that's why she left so
know.
early. They didn't want
Right.
to
She was
spend.
gone so early. So
So yeah,
it's
it happens. You never know. I am one sided, but I
Mhm.
also understand that it's important to look at what another political views are also doing and how
Oh yeah.
they're managing their, their people.
Right.
And if they're getting information they're supposed to be, I think that he had a lot of failing situations in terms of like people around him, but
Hmm.
certainly diversity, equity, and inclusion was not part of what he wanted to do, since he actually removed that from government.
I know. And from armed forces and
Yeah,
just totally different. So
yeah,
let me ask you this question because a lot of my audience are small business owners. So it starts, I mean, you tell us when we should start thinking about a DEI plan for our company, or a charter of some sort, or a committee, something like. At what point should a small
yeah.
business be considering these things?
In the beginning stage.
Hmm.
So when you're creating this idea in your head, right, you want to do this small business, think of who your audience is. And within that audience, you also want to make sure that folks are coming in to your business as employees or as clients that look diverse as best as possible, because this is a very diverse country, and every product, no matter what, whether tangible or intangible, is going to be used by everyone in
Right.
one way or another. So it would be in the beginning stages. I would think that when you're creating your plan,
Yes.
have a section where it's like, okay, so what is my goal for DEI, and
Mhm.
how can I better implement something that's going to work for me and my business, and also for my community, because it's not just about one space. The community you're serving also would be part of that.
Yes. And for those who are watching, when we say build it into your plan, we're talking about your business plan.
Yes.
No, we're not talking about a quota, like two of these, three of these. This is not
No.
Noah's Ark. This is how you want your company culture to be. It should honestly be in that section, to be honest with
Yes.
you. Your values, your mission, and your company culture, 100%. Do you disagree, Miss Stephanie?
No, you are right on track. That is 100%. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, I don't want you to miss this comment. So, and Anthony said, "Hi, Steph."
Oh, hey.
I want to make sure you saw that. Okay, well, is there anything else that you want to discuss in regards to diversity, equity, and inclusion, or your business, or what you have going on?
Yeah, I mean, I really hope people can check out my website if you do need anything and help within diversity speaking. I also do a lot of speaking programs too. I know nonprofits sometimes ask for speakers looking for someone in that area. I do that. I do a lot of these workshops. I work with political organizations as well as politicians coming in, or politicians already there.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm available. My business is open for business always. But I'm really happy to have conversations with anyone in terms of like what this means for them, or how they want to get involved, because the more people that can be around this type of work, the better.
I think that's awesome. So, again, everyone, if you are interested in learning about DEI, Deborah says Jeanette Starks, DEI, yes. If you're interested in learning about DEI, if you want to have some safe space conversations, if you're looking for a speaker that is knowledgeable about DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, or even if you have a small business and you're in the planning stages and you haven't started yet and you're looking for some counsel, please reach out to Miss Stephanie Olarte.
Hey, you know how good it is to someone say my last name so correctly? Sometimes they don't, and I'm like, wait, it's not that hard.
Well, Miss Stephanie, I shared with you my discrimination story when I was a kid, but I didn't tell you that I was also called Antonio Banderas for years. Yeah. And then
Wow.
when Michael Strahan got big, the people started calling me Michael Strahan. So I,
Those
I
are microaggressions. Those are not good.
had 11, 12, 13-year-olds. So but I absolutely love your name, and I am a firm believer. Before Kamala said it, I want to say people's name correctly. So I love it. So
Thank you.
thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
your Monday night with us. I appreciate it.
Yes, I'm very excited. And let me tell you something that I know you talked about earlier. I
Mm-hmm.
did not watch The Weekend. I did not. I did not watch the NFL yesterday. I forgot all about it. I was like, oh, there's something going on.
You didn't
So,
miss. You missed some really good performances at the beginning of the football game, and then I'm in Tampa, Florida, by the way. So you missed the smackdown by the Bucks. But as far as the weekend, you could have missed that. That's fine.
well, I guess I didn't miss anything. Good thing.
No, no. And then he has like this old school, like 1980s movie mustache. It was just weird. It was very off. It was very off-putting. So, anyway, all right. Well, thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much
much for having me.
for coming. You have a good rest of your night, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you. Goodbye.
All right, everyone. I'm so excited you guys got to meet Miss Stephanie. Again, I'm going to go ahead and put up her contact information. Please reach out to her if you have any diversity, equity, or inclusion needs. If you own a company and you need some assistance, or if you are an employee and you need some assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to her, whether or not you are in the nonprofit or the for-profit space. Okay? All right. Well, it's the end of our show. I can't wait to see you guys again on Wednesday. So until then, find someone you know that watched the weekend at the Super Bowl and give them a hug because I'm sure they need it. So, all right. Bye.